Hello, and welcome to another episode of TacoBytes, your daily bite of Degen, episode 340, coming to you live Monday morning. It is 11 a.m. EST, Eastern Standard Time. We are coming to you from the Big Apple here in New York. Had an amazing weekend. Got to visit the Metropolitan Art Museum. And what's really interesting is got to see a lot of different paintings that you might be a little bit of a degen when the first thing you see is you're like, oh, that'd be a really cool NFT, or I would buy that if that was an NFT, or I would take that if that was a free NFT. Really interesting how weird we are that way sometimes. One of the things that we wanted to do today, as we are showcasing a little bit more into the Zen ecosystem, one of the things we wanted to go through today was TG Zen. We went through the white paper, light paper, rather quickly on Saturday night, and we wanted to go into it a little bit deeper with you live on screen, just so you can sort of see what we see. And then we wanted to, shout out to TG Zen for like taking the hard questions. So I'm really, just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's not a good thing. All right. Does it set the ground for like, oh, well, hey, if this wasn't like fully advertised, then what else, might be getting hidden? What else might be behind the scenes? Not saying that that's the case. So far, TG Zen has been on point. Asked all the questions. We had a great space yesterday for Simple Waters and Clout's weekend review. We had TG Zen. We had Razvan from DB Zen. We had Danny from Wham, which is Wham Games, which is going to be integrating with DB Zen, and possibly the rest of the Zen ecosystem. So it's sort of interesting. So we're going to see a little bit more on how that comes about. And so, yeah, we're going to first deep dive into some of the things going on, and we're going to see what there is in the TG Zen light paper. We do have the new X. Finally got the updated X for everything. X.com now takes you to Twitter as well. So very interesting. Shout out to Elon. I guess I want to do that for the first time. I haven't actually typed in X.com. But X.com is supposed to take you directly to Twitter now. Let's see. Continue site. Let's see here. Oh, no, it's not? Oh, okay. I thought X.com was supposed to take you straight to Twitter. Guess it's not. Guess I might have done something wrong. I probably did something wrong. That's what I usually do. But we're going to go to TG Zen. And we did do some submissions for, and then there's also Zen Pepe on Pulse. We're going to go into that a little bit too. We do have a quick show today. For some reason, we set the show super early this morning, and forgot that we had a meeting at 11:30. So when we moved TacoBytes this morning, so we're going to actually only be a half hour today to go through this, but we can go through this pretty quickly. One of the first things that TG Zen started to do that I thought was actually good was bringing up let's see here. What was it? What did they bring up? They brought up that they were going to be building a governance token that's going to get airdropped. for a possible DAO within the Pulse chain ecosystem. Excited for new things on Pulse. Always love to see that happen. But I'm just not a fan that it turned into only I think 24-hour drop. That gets new people out of it, having to buy into it. And then the biggest issue that I had with it was that the Grays ecosystem got into the TG Zen without having to go through Zen. So it does bring in new Zen friends, or it's really great to see another community wanting to be part of Zen or having Zen be part of their ecosystem. But the way it was done is what still grinds my gears. And so one of the things I wanted to go through a little bit today for a quick second on a spreadsheet was these ratio pieces of 40-1 and 1-1, and what that looks like overall. And what that's just sort of where the ratio is that they set was for TG to TG Zen was 40-1, but Zen was 1-1. Now, if I had been asked about this, what I would have suggested is that on the open market, and this is what they didn't want to hurt their community, but this is what I would have suggested. The token then trades for Zen, the Zen then burns. Any of them, but they wanted to have that 40-1 bonus, and which then correlates into an 80. It's still a 40-1, but it turns, because we ratio against each other, but it turns into an 80-for-1 piece where the Zen turns into a 2-for-1, and that's because there's that double ghost mint. So when you mint, when you burn, you mint out TG Zen, but then you also mint a copy that's then distributed between all the other token holders. So you're basically 1 for 2, 1 for 40, 2 for 4, 2 for 80. But when you ratio compare, it still comes back to 1 for 40. Now, what this looks like, if I were to burn 10,000 TG Zen or TG, and I was to burn 10,000 Zen, I would end up with 400,000 and only 10,000 still. So right away you can sort of see that disproportionately gives to the TG ecosystem. Now, if the what we can see here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you some math on this real quick. I'm going to use even numbers that are way higher than what Zen or TG Zen cost, just so you can sort of have an idea without so many decimal places. And so this is what we're going to do here. We're going to show what it looks like for, we're going to do 10 people. 9 of them are burning Zen. 1 person burns TG, and we're going to show you what that does to the total price value of everything. And this is going to be Zen is at we're going to make Zen $1. And and we'll figure out what TGZen equals in a second. We'll call it what do we want to call it? Well, since it's 40-1, let's just call it $40. Well, no, because that's not. We'll figure that out. We'll just call it $1 because we're looking at one token pieces. So, person 1, 2, 3, 4, and then for those that are joining us, if you're, just want to give a quick shout out to everyone joining us on YouTube, Telegram, Twitch, Discord, Xenon, those joining us all over as we talk about this, and those that are joining us via YouTube, just so you know, we are going over what it looks like on a spreadsheet, and want to do a shout out to those that are joining us on Twitter as well. So that is what we are doing. Let's see here. We are connecting real quick to make sure we have this. Shoot fly, don't bother me. Let's see. So yeah, so we're gonna just show you real quickly what that looks like, and we're gonna have some fun with this because that's what we like to do. Do this all for fun, but what we're doing is person, and let's see here. We will do. Well, we're gonna make the 10th person a TG person, so you can sort of see what we're doing here on this. They're going to be giving up TG and then Zen for the rest of the people. And the reason we're doing this is so we can sort of show you what each person brings to the ecosystem, and we're going to show you what they're giving. So we're going to make some random amounts, and we're going to then do the math on all of it. So of what that looks like as each person breaks into the system. And one thing that I'm going to show you is based on the way that the protocol looked, this is the thing that really has me frustrated, is it looks like they were in there pretty fast. And so I feel like TGZen might have had a leg up on that, on launching. And yeah, so if they went in first, that's that's a bigger red flag to me too. So that then diluted the rest of the pool from the get-go, or diluted everyone, and everyone else lost out on that, as well as then diluted the pool for, for everyone else. So we're going to do this in this order, and then I'll show you what the difference looks like for what happens if the TG person went in first. So obviously there is going to be the same amount for each person. So what this does, as we see here, this person put in 40,000. So that gives them roughly 80,000 because they're the only person in the pool, and so it double mints and it spreads as a reflection to everyone. So that's what happens. So the first person, they basically double their money in a way. Next up, we have someone that put in 654,000. So they are going to get 654,000 divided by 2. And so we're going to do that math real quick. Do 654,321. So they're getting this person's getting 40,000 plus another 40,000. This person is getting a 654,321 plus they're getting 327,160.5, and this one is getting that as well. So we're gonna do a copy here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna make this we're gonna show you this total amount here, and what that will do will be a sum. Just so you can sort of see. What that is a sum of. Right. H12 through U12. Yep. So boom. So this is what we get to see here, is the math piece of it start to really take effect. And we're going to bring that formula all the way down just so we can sort of see what that looks like. So this one is now 84,521. Divided by 3. And so that equals 28,173.6. All right. $21,506 divided by 4 is 50,39. And then we get to see what this looks like. $7,561 divided by 5 is 1,512.2. And that is reflected between everyone as well. Divided by 6, 2.5. And we see what this does. $1,632 or 302 divided by 7. And that's 2,328.8. And we see what this does to everyone's total along the way as well. Where we will see this huge jump soon is where what happened. This is if the TG person went in last versus if they went in first. And we'll see what this looks like. $7,564. We're going to divide that by 9. That equals 840.4. Now, if we're looking at this all as, like I said, Zen, we put Zen at $1 and TG at $1. Right now, we can see what the total value piece of this versus what. So we can see what this difference is here. So we're going to subtract this. So this minus this. That's almost a gain of 825,000. So right below almost double of what's been put in. And that's because it should be equal to, but because we're off on our decimal points a little bit, you know, you see a little bit difference there. That is our main piece. And so we can just sort of do a quick double up on this. So it should be, you know, we're about, let's see here. It looks like we're about 20,000 off right now. So I'll have to go through and see why we're off so much on that. But this is where it gets, because we haven't added in our 10,000 yet. And this is where it really messes up. So they put in 10,000 TGs in, they get 400,000 because they get it 40 to 1. So if they put in 10,000, that means they're getting 400,000. 1, 2, 3. Boom. So now we see how big of a difference that is. So this just times 2, it should be about, you know, and we can see how off that is. So what's been put in versus what hasn't been. So 5. So that's like 1.2 million versus 1.6 million. So there you can see where how big of a ratio this turns off. And give me just 1 second real quick. I need to reset a meeting because this is going a little deeper. I want to really cover this. This is taking away before last. I guess look, where is Eric? Okay. I apologize, guys. I thought we were going to be quick today, but I really want to cover this. So, yep. Sorry about this, guys. I'm having to push another meeting back real quick. All right. So as we see here with TGZen, once it's added to the pool, it really throws off the ratio of what's being put in versus what is what the total should be. And so this is where we start to see a really big difference. And so now that we have 40,000 added or 400,000 added, what that does to the rest of it is because now 40,000 is put in or 400,000 is put in, we divide that by 10, so everyone gets 40,000. So this is where it's really going to show how much that throws that off versus if everything was kept at the same ratio. And what this does gives a false sense of the amount of money that was sort of put into this. And so when you have something that's pegged 1-to-1, and then you throw in something that isn't on a 1-to-1 ratio and either exceeds or it dilutes the value put in. And so we can see here that obviously the guy that went in first really made out big. He initially put in 40,000. He got a total of, so he 10x just because 10 people put in, you know, which, well, he almost, man, he almost went a little bit. He almost 12.5x, which is good through 10 people. And that's just because there's that huge disproportion from the TGZen 40-to-1. So as we can see here, what the total outcome looks like is that though it should have been a double up, it is not exactly a double up. And so this is where the numbers really start to overthrow. So a total of $845,000 was put in, but that generates $2.4 million. Now remember, I'm giving everything a dollar sign here, $1, so it's easier to sort of point out without getting into all the decimals. So yes, coming in last gets you the smallest reflection, but this is also sort of what it looks like, you know, for them to, you know, so they might have gotten the least amount for their money, but this is not what looks to be the case. If you look at the contract, TG was put in first. So whether that gave the leg up, that was, you know, someone putting something in, I'm not sure. You know, just great timing. Too many coinky dinkies, and it doesn't make me happy on that. But when you have a 40 to 1 ratio, it really pulls it apart from being able to see what that looks like. And so it really pulls that out and really sort of pushes that over. What, you know, one of the things that it does show is that, hey, yeah, there is an amazing piece here for coming in first. The sooner you are, the more reflections you get spread out. Now, I want to show you guys what this looks like if we were to reverse this and put the TG person in first. Let's see here. So we are going to copy that, put that there for a second, and then we are going to change this up. We're going to change this to Zen, and they put in 40,000. Which gives them the total will equal out. So so we'll see here what this looks like math wise, real quick, as they're putting in only 10,000. 1, 2, 3. But that 10,000 gets them a 40 to 1. So they're putting in first on that. So we're going to show you what this now looks like. So TG Zen person put in, you know, only 10,000 TG, but that gets them 400,000. That also gets them that extra 400,000 from being that first deposit. So we're going to start to see what this really looks like. So here we have the rest of it. So we're going to show you, boom, boom. Third person puts in 84. That's divided by 3. Fourth person puts in 4. Eighth person, gets 637 divided out. Ninth person puts this out. And this is where we then have to just do a quick little math break piece because we have a different amount. We get to show you how much this changes the total play here. So this person put in 40,000, so we do 40,000 divided by 10. Obviously, that's 4,000. So we now see where this little bit of economic difference comes into play here. So the total amount is still the same across the board, but we can sort of see how much of a difference people get by being put in last versus being put in first. So they got a total of 1.1 million versus, the person that went in last only getting 44,000. And so that just sort of, what's great about it is the math, lays out to being roughly being the same. Let me double check that. Yep. Math equals out the same across the board. But the distribution of it is where it really starts to change. And so we can sort of see here, what that looks like. Let's fix our auto sum. So we can see here where now they have 1.1 million compared to them only having 444,000, based off of the going in first versus going in last. The next person has a slightly different amount as well. They'll have a slightly less because there was less put in, but they didn't get that. No one got to benefit from that 40x being spread out between all of the holders. So this is one of those things that really sort of showcases why being first into a lot of protocols helps, but also why it, can sort of hurt when there is that disproportionate piece. Now, we can show you what it would look. This is where we can sort of showcase this difference. So you would think that it should be double, but because there is that 40x put in there, we see how much that this puts off. So this total, so it is basically 1.6 million off of what's deposited versus what was put in for 1-to-1 or 2-to-1. So you would think that it should be double, but it is not. Where this is at 1.6, this shows 1.69. This puts it in as the total value is 1.62. So dilutes overall based off of that aspect really showcases that there is that power that we, of diluting everyone's value through any type of ratio trade-in that doesn't really have a good piece to this. And so this is the thing that, like I said, I want to deep dive into TG Zen more. I want to talk with TG Zen, but this is where the numbers are. This is what the numbers look like. So we can sort of see what that difference looks like between, you know, being in first, being in last. But this is what happens when you add in a ratio change for something that didn't quite put into this. And so we see a really big difference here, because when you add in a token that is not part of the Zen ecosystem, but giving it a Zen reward, it dilutes it for everyone else. And so just so everyone can sort of see that is roughly $70,000 difference. And remember, I'm using a 1-to-1 ratio here. So one token equals $1. Obviously, that is not the case, but I did that so that it showcases what that looks like. Now, they said at the time that TG was at a 40-to-1 ratio, and that's what they did. But it doesn't matter, because their economic energy is completely different. So, you know, if it had traded TG for Zen and then either burned that Zen or not, but what they were looking to do, if they had traded the token, then their token price would have gone down rather than burned. And so need to look at that back end and see what's going on there, how that's being distributed out, what's being done with that token, if it's truly being burned, if it's being put into a marketing wallet, what's going on there. Because if that token has tokenomics too, then that true amount didn't get actually burned, but they still got that value. So that's one of those things that I really dislike about this, that when you put something in like that, you can see how much that changes, one being in last versus being in first. So they put in $10,000 and they got 1.1 million out of that. So that's sort of where we sort of see a very large disproportion start to come into play. TG Zen. GM TG Zen. And I know you got to connect real quick.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing just at work right now, but saw you were having the space, so I figured I'd listen in / speak in a little bit.
Definitely. I would love more. It might sound like I'm fudding. I'm going through the numbers, and I'm sort of explaining what that looks like. This is the number one thing that I feel is your redeeming quality. You've answered every question you can, or you say I'll get back to you. So that's why I haven't just written you off, if that makes any sense. Because I don't think it was done you were doing it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you were doing it in a way to sort of find a blending point, like a Venn diagram between the TG ecosystem and Zen ecosystem to sort of make a TG Zen ecosystem. Just the way it was done really, really grinds my gears, I guess. You know?
Yeah. Again, the way I tried to do it was the fairest way I could think of, since the TGC community were the ones that paid for the project to be built. So I wanted to ensure them to be able to participate as well. And I kind of want to say I saw two positive thing about that. And I know other people coming in, everyone has their own opinion, and it's really, really difficult to make everyone happy. But the positive things I saw were how TG Zen was, or TGC was distributed, was there was no pre-allocation, no one could get any tokens for free or anything like that. It was 100% of the supply being put into Uniswap and then locked for 100 years. So I looked at it as possibly something that could even bring more value to TG Zen, because one, every single token that was burned, and that was one thing I heard you just talking about, what happened with those tokens. So any Zen burned got burned in the correct function to get the XN allocation at that time, or when Jack finally releases that via burn receipts.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously burning TGC does nothing for burn receipts. So all TGC was just sent to a burn address, so a dead address.
Yeah.
Any TGC burn, it didn't go through the same function, but it's also just in a dead address, never to be touched again. So just to clarify where those actually went.
Yeah.
So back to kind of where I was getting at, my kind of idea of it, and trust me, when this whole thing started like 6 months ago, the TGC community was a lot larger. So I believed there was going to be a good economic addition than what even happened. So like only I think like 2 or 3 people even ended up burning some of their TGC, where 6 months ago the community was a lot larger. And how I look at it is like all these people had to actually purchase their tokens. There was no minting. No one got any TGC for free, to where you could almost say Zenians could get Zen for free and burn. And also the Zenians are the only ones getting the XN allocation, to where the TGC community doesn't get any additional allocation on the XN side. But ultimately what happened is I've focused on the Zen community for like the last 6 months and not so much the TGC community. So I've actually lost a lot of the TGC community. So not a lot of people even burned for TG Zen, even though it was an outreach to mend the two communities together as one via the TG Zen token.
Yeah.
And I get that the Zen community kind of looks at it like, oh, we don't even want to be mixed with that community. You know what I mean? And I feel for the Zen community on that side too, but I have to feel for both communities. The community that at one time I persuaded, I suggested this proposal. I was the one that made the proposal to build this protocol that helps, in my eyes, it helped the TGC community because it was burning some of their supply off the market without just selling it right into the market. And then I also considered it benefiting the TG or the Zen community, because at that time, no one was really building protocols besides, let's say, Razvan and Joe. And in my opinion, Jack was like saying, like, come on, let's get builders, let's burn more stuff. And I was like, okay, like I can help here, and I need the TGC community to help the Zen community. So let me try to help both people at the same time. And I did bring it up in some spaces in the beginning. I did put it at the light paper. I didn't want to like keep emphasizing on it personally, because to me it was such a minor thing in the process. And to me it still is a minor thing in the process. I think, like I said, 2 people burned TGC and let's say 100 people burned Zen.
Yeah.
And on top of that, TGC people could only burn for 12 hours, and that's always been in the code. The first 12 hours was for them, because I didn't want to keep the focus on TGC. I wanted to benefit them for putting up the funds for the build out, but my main focus was always to help the Zen community, and with also helping the TGC community. I never wanted to turn my back on that community, because that's the community I started with, but I also get where you're coming from and saying like, hey, the Zen community is bringing a lot to the table too. Like, we're burning our precious Zen, and we come with a huge following, to where TGC, especially nowadays, has not much. You know what I mean? At the time of the start of the project, it was popping a little bit more, but it's drained pretty much since I've spent the last 6 months, instead of building for TGC, building for TG Zen, which is a mixed project.
Yeah. And so I want to, maybe do a little bit of explanation, because what is the Grays ecosystem? Can we go into that a little bit?
Yeah. So the idea between me and the couple buddies that I built that project with was, it was supposed to be a completely decentralized and automated DAO system that's ever growing. And with no and it was actually built with the first principles in mind, like kind of even before Jack's project came out first, but the starting of building of TGC actually came to mind before we even knew about Jack. But Jack beat us to market and everything like that. So Jack came out first, we came out second. But the idea behind it was, no owner fees going to the owner, no pre-allocated tokens to anyone, just a completely fair launch to where 100% of the supply gets put into Uniswap with $5,000 liquidity locked for 100 years. And then for community members to come in and continually build the ecosystem as time goes on via the automated and decentralized DAO.
Yeah.
That was pretty much it. And there wasn't as much, and I didn't really think there would be much adoption. Me and the guys kind of just did it because we like crypto and we thought it was a cool idea because we don't have a following or anything like that. So we built it, and the voting was a little bit more expensive on Ethereum than we expected. So even the community that we did have weren't too interested in participating in the DAO as much as we hoped. And the DAO did have marketing money, and I was already deep in the Zen ecosystem at this space, and I actually was focusing a lot of my attention in learning about Zen, participating in Zen, like following Zen people. And then I was like, you know what, I hear Jack asking for community. I have this ecosystem builder that I've already built. Like, let's put it to the test, kind of. And let's make the big first ecosystem building project for the Zen community via this decentralized and automated DAO.
Yeah. So
and that being said, I also just didn't, because it's part of the TGC ecosystem, I didn't want to completely neglect them on the distribution of the token. And I believe the model I came up with was pretty fair. Obviously, people are going to disagree. That's this space in general. You can try to do the things, and one person likes it, one person doesn't. This person hates it. This person thinks you're awful. Like, that's kind of the vibe I got yesterday. My thing was I tried to do it as fair as possible for everyone, with also delivering a great product in my mind to the Zen community. And I think once people kind of look at it that way, in my opinion, it was fair. I guess everyone will look at it a different way, but
yeah. No, I understand that. I guess where, I don't know, if you did the math, a spreadsheet math on this at all, to find out what, different scenarios would look like. I just ran through what, 2 different scenarios of in first versus in last, with TG versus Zen, and what that looks like, and what that value creation is for them, or even in the mid, I could do it in the middle, and obviously we see an even bigger transfer for that. So we see.
Hey, real quick, man. I am at work. Can I get off for like 5 minutes and answer this call that's work related, and then I'll hop back in and
you can.
Yeah, cool.
Of course.
Okay, I'll be back in a sec.
Yeah. Want to thank everyone for joining us. Those that are coming to us on YouTube, shout out to you. Those that are coming to Twitch, GM. We're going to be doing some gaming later on today on BR1, or no, not today, tomorrow. I apologize. BR1 tournaments, and doing some. I think we have a battle against Ghost Kid DAO. For those coming in via Xenon, GM, live on chain, video service cannot go wrong. And then huge shout out to everyone that's joining us via Twitter as well. I want to invite Hexy Cajun on stage if she is available, because she had some view pieces on this that I started to hear the other day that really was, I felt that was different than mine, but really put well together. So if she's able to come up, I would really appreciate that. If anyone else wants to come up, talk about this, like I said, yes, this does rub me the wrong way. But at the same time, why I still have belief in it is because I've been seeing TG Zen has not gone away, has answered every question. And so it's like, yes, this might have been done not perfectly, but I did this with the best intentions, and that's sort of where I have faith in it, where I think that there's still something to do with this. So, yeah. Hexy, GM.
Yeah, good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm great.
Good to hear. What are your thoughts on all of this?
On what it's on TG Zen?
Yeah.
Well, I'll give my thoughts, but still like try not to foot it at the same time. But well, I spoke to him about this. His model. He has a cap on his coin, and once the cap is reached, or 1 year, whichever comes first, like there's no more burning after that.
Yep.
Okay, right? Okay. So that means no more yield is going to be generated after that, right?
Yep.
Okay. So, and then there's this delayed payout and distribution. Now the delayed payout has a max of 1 year. So if you say somebody burned on the last day possible, then they would receive it 1 year later at max. So no more yield's going to be generated after 1 year, and then it'll stop being distributed after the second year. And so I'm like, well, what now? Now people just hold something. Now it's a meme coin, unless someone else makes more utility for it. It's just floating out there without yield.
Yeah. So do you think that one of the ideas, so there's the two pieces for it, a combined value piece between merging two ecosystems and bringing two communities, trying to bring two communities together to build something future later on. That's sort of what I've heard from TG Zen. So excuse me. But then also at the same fact, oh, I'm looking at the wrong piece. Trying to blend two communities together that will then have later utility. Not quite sure what that utility is, but also wants to give a DAO voting platform. I know I've spoke about my my view on like any Zen DAO. I don't think I've heard yours.
Well, first off, I'm glad that he's trying to blend two communities together. I'm all for that. It's kind of the first project to incorporate that concept where, two communities are burning something for this one token.
Mm-hmm.
But now as for a DAO, I know he's got this DAO token he's distributing, and DAOs to me never work out.
Yeah.
There's always conflict. Nobody can agree. Everybody gets mad when a whale has like majority vote, and that always happens. And anyway, there's always just conflict on where are we going to spend the money, who are we going to give it to. No, there's always like divisions and people fighting with DAOs, and it's going to be hard to. He hasn't like made structure, or he hasn't planned it out very well.
Yeah.
It's just a token at the moment, and there's no like platform or guidelines or anything, which is okay, I guess, which is okay. I don't see any value in a DAO token, it's usually not something that's, just traded and increases in value. Normally not, at least. You never know. So, it's a bonus, but I don't know if it's going to be more of a problem than an asset to all this with all the fighting.
Yeah. It's one of those interesting things to sort of see. And I see the same issue with a lot of DAOs that, I feel that with DAOs, it's good for a DAO to have structure first and then be and we've seen this in a lot of different, it's done with I guess maybe one of the longest versions of DAOs, but HOAs, maybe not the longest, but a really good example. HOAs are usually ran first by the housing builders and slowly integrated with the community, and so that direction is put in first, so that roadmaps, missions, purpose are clearly defined. Like you said, if there's not a lot of clarity from the get-go, what is the purpose, and what is that feature creep? I always mess that up. I say creature feet all the time rather than feature creep. And that's when too many people want too many different things. But overall, like you said, really like the idea of merging two communities and bringing another community in. I don't know. What else is on your mind?
I do wish the project well. I didn't burn for it, and I don't own any, but anything that burns Zen, I hope does well. I guess that's all I can say. We'll just have to see. And the chart looks okay. It's the TG Zen chart. Like it's one TG Zen. Sorry, let me pull it up. What was it? 2? Yeah, one Zen equals 2 TG Zen at the moment, which is kind of the way it should be, I guess. Since when you burn your 1 Zen, you get a TG Zen plus the yield. Another copy goes as a yield to the holders. Yep. So every 1 Zen that's burnt, 2 GG Zens are created, and so that's what's going to be floating around, and that's what the chart is showing right now.
Yeah.
1 Zen equals 2 TG Zen.
Yeah, it is slightly reverse. Let me so 1 Zen, equals 2.18 TG Zen. And technically it should be the 2 to 1, but because we had that burn-in of TG into it, that's where that throws that off a little bit.
Yeah, I did hear him say, I didn't realize this, that TG could only be burned the first 12 hours, and so no more is being burned. Is that right?
That is my understanding, yeah. And so if that was, I didn't learn about the TG add-in until, almost 24 hours into launch, when I went through the third light paper, because I hadn't seen it in any of the other light papers. I don't remember seeing it.
Yeah, it's always been there because I spoke to him about it. I have some DMs from him like around May 1st.
Oh, okay.
And I told him it might be a great idea to like not even do that. But they do have an expense, devs. I don't know. He said he was going to take that part out. That's just kind of a DM, but he never did. I guess they just decided to do 12 hours of their burn and stop at that point. And I don't mind. It's all good.
Yeah, and we saw about, I think, 4 people burn. Saw a total, I think, of let me do this real quick. 9, 20. Oh, no. 3 people burn. No, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 people burn for roughly 30 million TG. So
that's not a lot, is it? They got 30 million TGs in out of it, you're saying?
So they got 40 times that TGs in.
Oh.
Because they had that 40-to-1 ratio piece there.
Okay.
And that's what throws off the ratio of TG Zen to Zen. So, you know, right now, if you wanted to get TG Zen without the burn, trading Zen for TG, you could do that. You know, $1 gets you roughly 2.3 million TG Zen. And so, yeah. Now, hopefully, with the best, best of intentions, what we see here happen is that as it's traded back and forth, we'll see that ratio start to balance out a little bit more, but it is pushed off due to that that I don't. Dilution is the only right term to use, and it sounds like I'm saying it in a bad way. I don't know if it's bad yet, but by that 40-to-1 ratio piece, that's sort of where I see that. TG, you are back.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, sorry I had to take that call.
No, not a problem. Thank you for joining us. Sounds like you're in the workshop, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm a project estimator and manager for a steel construction company in California. So
Okay. Now,
loud.
Now this is a question I don't know what do I call you? What is your name, if you don't mind me asking, or what do you go by?
My name's Hayden.
Hayden. Do you prefer me to? Okay. Is it all right if I call you Hayden?
Yeah, it's good.
Yay! All right. That way I can separate Hayden from TG Zen without calling you TG Zen and saying TG Zen. So, yeah, we've sort of seen, that liquidity pool was made for TG Zen and Zen already. We've seen a 4 buys and 4 sells, so going on about that. So, that is sort of where we see, because someone put in a really interesting liquidity pair from the get-go. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I know my devs put up an ETH on V2 ETH to Zen liquidity pair, and that was just so we could integrate the Uniswap interface on our dApp to make it easy if people do decide to trade. There is an interface right there for everyone to use. It is a V2. You could also just go to Uniswap. It's the same thing. It's just like a link to Uniswap. So that's why that pair was initiated in the launch of the token, to make it a little bit more user friendly for some.
Yeah. No, and we've seen some people add into the liquidity. We've seen some people take out from the liquidity. So seeing total a handful of transactions. It's cool to see the start of it. And to be able to have that swap function right there from the get go. So shout out for that. But yeah, so that's sort of where it comes into question, or not question, but what's next? Hexy had that question of, have you started to lay out a purpose for the DAO? And I guess was the Grays originally an ETH/Pulse project?
So it was meant to just be on ETH, and what came about at launch is the fees to interact, especially it's not as bad right now because it's a little lower, but at like the peak of when stuff is trading, when Gwei is more at like 40 and stuff like that, voting and making proposals actually hits people's wallet a little bit hard because of it. We could have made a DAO that's just on a website and it's free to transact with, but then it wasn't decentralized and automated and all on the block. So we did want it to be all on the blockchain, and the downside of that is that every single vote and proposal costs money. And what we found is having it on ETH is great as far as finding users, because people on ETH, there's a lot more people on ETH than any other chain, but the downfall is it costs so much to do a transaction, which makes it really expensive to vote. So the reason we've now decided to go to Pulse Chain is, one, because I come from the Hex community and pretty much everyone in my main team comes from the Hex community. So it just makes sense for us to jump over to that chain, as it being a cheaper chain and kind of part of our past a little bit too.
Okay. Nice. No, there I see a lot of benefits from something like that, costing less for transactions and pieces. Did the Grays launch early enough? I haven't gone back to look at it so that there is a copy of the Grays on Pulse as well.
So I just put a tweet out there today about this, and we've still been talking about this distribution, and it's not set in stone. And I'm open to hear everyone's opinion on this because it's not set in stone yet. So what we thought would be the best distribution method as of yesterday, after the spaces, I kind of talked to them and kind of honestly let the team know that it felt like some of the Zen community was a little upset that TGC was able to participate in the burning, since we didn't think it was that big a deal. But I let them know that some people did think it was a big deal, and it kind of seems like they feel put off. And I just wanted to let the whole team know that. And that's also why I put that tweet out today, kind of trying to make it very clear what we're thinking as far as distribution, so there is no confusion. And obviously I'll have to just keep reminding people of it. But this is the idea as of right now, is for everyone that burned in the first 24 hours, we want to receive an amplifier to the TGC airdrop on Pulse Chain. And we're thinking between 5 to 10x compared to just normal TG Zen holders and TGC holders. The ratio would still be figured out with TGC to TG Zen via dollar to dollar. So you could easily figure it out on Uniswap by putting like 1 TGC to TG Zen equals how many. So whatever that dollar ratio is worth, to make it to where there's not really a gameplay on selling one to get the other to get a bigger airdrop. It's pretty much equal, and that's what I think is the fairest way. But again, all the burners in the first 24 hours will get amplifier on that dollar amount. The other cool thing is, if you burn TG or your Zen for TG Zen, you're going to get the amplifier for what you burned, but you're also going to get an airdrop for what you're holding as well. So you kind of get the double dip in there.
Okay.
Yeah. You mind if I take this call again real quick? I'll hop back in.
Yep.
Sorry.
We got a question by Hexy, and I think that question might be for you. So when you get back, we'll hear from you.
Okay. 5 minutes. Okay.
Yeah. Hexy?
Yeah, I'll wait till he comes back. It was, yeah.
Okay. So, Hexy, how are you going to be going to the highest of stakes?
Yeah, I am in Dallas.
Heck yeah. You're going August 3rd or August 4th?
On the Saturday?
Yeah. I think that is. Do you know what time you're going?
At 7
p.m.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a big group of us going.
Awesome.
So,
all right.
Why are you going?
Yes. I'm going at I think 7 p.m. as well, but I'm in New York. New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I will see it 2 hours before you. So as soon as I'm getting out, you're going to be going in.
Okay. Yeah, I really wasn't gonna. I'm really not interested in seeing it, honestly. But yeah, the group asked, if I wanted to come, so I was like, okay, yeah. It's just, yeah, I'm really going to hang out with a bunch of Hexicans.
Yeah.
But yeah, I gotta sit to the movie.
Okay. Nice.
That'll be interesting.
What have you thought of it so far?
I did not even watch the trailer.
Oh, you're going in blind. Okay.
I am. I don't even want to watch the trailer. I just think a lot of things, he's so freaking cringe, man. He's like, his arrogant show off is just, it's really put off to me. And yeah.
Yeah. I think one of his best interviews is the one he did with Paul Barron. I was a little cringe on it because, when RH goes into sort of when he's talking numbers and stuff like that, on point all day. When he gets into that, I was right about this, I was right about that, I called this, I called that. I'm like, okay, now you're just a broken record because I've heard you say that 1,000 times. And so I sort of feel probably the same that people, if they've been around me for a while, when I repeat things. So I could relate to that,
Yeah, he used to spit out a lot of alpha back in the day, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
On stream. It's really giving life advice, right? Now, then he turned into just a big show off and bragging. Mm-hmm. And now all of a sudden he's tweeting, "Oh, humility is me now. That's not me in the movie. I'm a changed person." It's like, Jesus Christ, flip flop all over the place.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of weird. Yeah.
Because the movie's been made over the last, I think, 2 years?
Yeah. Yeah, they've been talking about it since 2021.
Yes. Yeah. So I will say this, that someone can change a lot in that time, in that period. So I'll give that,
the thing is, he was humble, and then he was not, and now he is again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Hayden, you are back. Hexy had a question for you.
What's up, Hexy?
Hey, yeah, about the TGC distribution. Are the people who burned only the first 24 hours getting it? Or did you change it? Like, are you talking about a multiplier now?
So the first 24 hours, people, you will get an allocation that's like 5 to 10x what a normal TG Zen holder would get. So why I did this was, for one, the burning pressure has completely died in the first 24 hours, and I need to keep that burning pressure up. And I need to keep that burning pressure up for certain reasons. One, because those reflections are going to the TG Zen holders right now, and they need a reason to keep holding up the project. And the best way for me to do this is, and also keep it fair to the first 24 hours. So if you burn in the first 24 hours, your distribution is going to be a lot higher than what a normal holder or burner right now. Because if you burn right now, you're going to be a holder. But or if you buy right now, it might be a better opportunity just to buy if the price is down. But so either way, each person's going to get rewarded. The people who burned in the first 24 hours are going to get a significant amount more than TGC holders and just normal holders of TG Zen. The reason I'm doing this that way is because at the start, it was only going to be the people who burned in the first 24 hours. So I do want to make sure they're taken care of and getting a decent amount for what they deserve for burning in the first 24 hours. But I also want to take care of people still holding and giving them reason to still hold, and possibly purchase on market or continue to burn, if that makes sense.
Well, it makes sense if you would have made those rules initially, but I really think you're going to turn people away by changing it now, because people burn the first 24 hours specifically to get the TGC. and they're going to think, well, it's not fair if people are still getting it. Even though they're getting a multiplier, I think people are just going to be upset and just sell and leave the project completely and never burn again. If you keep changing things, it's just a suggestion. I don't own any. I didn't burn. Just a So this is like from the outside looking in.
Yeah, and I get that too. No one likes to hear things changing, as well. In my opinion, I want TGC to get in the hands of a little bit more, because I want it to be a little bit more decentralized and not so much in the hands of just 100 people. I thought there was going to be a little bit more burn, but I also see why there isn't a lot of burn, because a lot of people who are burning right now are very happy with their ETH rewards with burning for DBZen. So I get why they do go that route. But then I also think that projects like mine with a little bit of attention could also be standing up, especially with, let's say, as time goes on and me bringing utility to TGZen and stuff like that as well. And I'm just trying to make sure that all the people that did participate get a fair running to compete with other projects.
I see that. I'm sort of a little bit in the same boat as Hexy. Especially like an amplifier. Nothing was written down. Nothing was written out to begin with. It was all like, we're going to figure this out as we go. I will say this, like when I guess I didn't see that it was only going to be the first 24 hours. Hexy did, so she was doing her research. Hats off to Hexy. But like, I was sort of thinking it would be something to where an ongoing thing. So people that continued to burn, continue to get a piece of. And so that's sort of where I sort of think that it's one of those things that, I don't know if there should be a multiplier versus, an equal distribution versus keeping that cap, and then letting the open market go on that as well. So if there's then people can, if 100 people burned in that first 24 hours, then hats off to those people. They wanted to participate. I haven't participated yet in TGZen. And yeah.
Yeah, I've heard it both. I've heard it like three different ways, and obviously I can't make every single person happy on how they would like it to be distributed. So I'm, that's where I'm at. The last suggestion I made was what I thought was the best, because there is some people, like you said, that didn't understand that you could only get TGC in the first 24 hours of burn. So then they're like, oh, well, how can I get it? And then, part of me is like, well, we were always going to give an airdrop to all of the TGC holders on ETH from the beginning, because it's their project. But I don't even want to push people into a project I made. Like, I want them to be able to purchase TGZen, or I guess they're both projects I made, but I don't want them to feel like I'm trying to guide them into a project that's not necessarily part of their ecosystem. So then that's where I'm like, okay, why don't I make it to where you can just go and burn TGZen now? You'll still get an allocation for the people who missed out, but it's not going to be as good as the people who did listen and do their research and did participate in the first 24 hours. And I feel like that's important too, to make sure the people who did research and burn get taken care of properly than the people who didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but I've heard it both ways from multiple people, and it's really hard to make everyone happy. And I guess I'll take a little bit of blame for that, because maybe instead of just saying like, hey, you know, if you burn, you're gonna get an airdrop. It's undecided right now how it's gonna go, but you're gonna get one. Where maybe I should have came out and just said like, hey, it's decided. This is how you're gonna get your airdrop. Nothing's changing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I can see that, and I can see where that would, you know, push certain people off. Hexy, did that sort of, how do you?
I get where I get where you're coming from. You can't make everyone happy, but by changing your mind, you are gonna create more unhappy people. So it's a balance, and you did come in spaces and say, yeah, only the first 24 hours, those people will get this TGC. I think you're going to create more unhappy people by changing it, but I still see how you want to get it in more people's hands. But if they didn't know, I guess that's kind of their fault, because you made several tweets about it. If they want it, they can buy it off the market. I mean, you know, it's like,
yeah, the TGT off the market once it launches, and yes, that's obviously always an option. And what trends have told me in the last month with airdrops and stuff like that is actually buying off the market hasn't been an awful thing. It's tend to give pretty good deals. So even with like minting VMPX, I think right now you could buy that off the market for a better deal than minting it throughout the whole mint cycle, maybe besides like a couple hours here or there. But so that's a good point as well, Hexy. I agree with that as well.
So yeah, no. I guess Hayden, you know, I guess what is next? And I guess one of the questions too that you know, I know Six asked yesterday, I've asked a couple times as well. You know, one of the things that you said that you were wanting to see was if it's successful to move forward. Have you guys deemed this as successful so far?
So for me to like keep moving forward, I would really like, and I'm planning on moving forward anyways, but it just depends on how fast this moving forward comes through, because I do come out of pocket, or so far I've had to come out of pocket half for both TGC and TGZen, and then the DAO paid for pretty much the other half for both those projects. Like with TGZen, there was no funds to get that audited, so I had to pay out of pocket to get that audited. But that being said, yes, I plan on moving forward with TGZen, with getting utility to TGZen. That's my number one idea right now, and how I want to move forward with my time. I want to make sure that TGZen has a utility. I've talked with a few developers and also people in the Zen community on what I can do. I'm trying to lean into a way to provide single-sided like staking that's really just LP providing, that connects Zen people with DB Zen people, Phoenix people, and TG Zen people, to where you don't need to come up with both sides of it. And you can either pick to possibly get more rewards with possibly incurring impermanent loss, or you can move it to where you're not going to get impermanent loss, but the rewards are going to be way less because you don't get the rewards going the other direction, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Something like this is going to take me a little bit to build out, especially if there's no money in the TGC DAO to help me build this out, or if the community doesn't even want me to have that money, because that whole project is up to the community on how they vote and approve if they get this. If that project's successful, like that money doesn't even need to come to me to build. That can go to Block 6 to build, let's say, or 6 himself to build, or maybe Joe Blau has an idea and he needs some funding, or Razvan, or someone new, or you get what I'm going with it. So that never only is supposed to go to me. It's supposed to go to wherever the community wants it to go, and that's the beauty of it being decentralized and automated. If any of it does come to me, awesome. It's going to help me speed up the process because it's less out of my pocket ultimately. And a build out of something like that, with the current connections I have, will probably cost me a little bit. Maybe in the next few months, I'll meet more connections with being more out there in the Zen community, and maybe some people will reach out to me and like that idea and want to build on top of that idea. But pretty much the idea is a place where all fair launch Zen community tokens can lock it in a single-sided LP pool, and the contract itself connects them together to make liquidity providing and possibly farming to give people passive income while not risking their tokens in, let's say, just providing LP themselves and getting in permanent loss, or in some cases, if you don't have both sides of the pair, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Would you be making it as a V2 LP providing or a V3 liquidity providing?
I'm thinking V3 because of, when you do V3, you can set ranges.
Yep.
So that would be the way that I could make it to where you could not get impermanent loss, because I could make it to where it's an easy to understand transition for someone to set it to where the range is only in the direction you want it to go. And then when it heads the other direction, you then are not in range, so you won't be getting rewards anymore, but you're protecting yourself from going in the direction you didn't want to go, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah. So something like that is kind of the idea I have in hand for the growth of TGZen. And obviously that's going to take me a little bit. It's a little bit more in depth than just a basic token with burning and stuff like that. And like I said, if no funds come to me from TGC, it's going to be out of my pocket, and I fund all this stuff just paying out of my paychecks from my day job. So it's going to take a little bit, especially with my current connections. If I meet new connections that are more affordable by chance, or if people are donating some time and energy, then that can go faster. But that's the idea at hand. And then anyone holding some of these fair cryptos that we all love can also receive drips of, let's say, Zen or native token or anything like that by providing that single-sided staking where they could just go out and in as they please.
Yeah. Do you see that this has been enough of a success to possibly bring in other chains of Zen?
Again, every other chain, because of the connections I have, cost me money out of pocket. So if that's a route we want to go, I would like to go the route of submitting it in the TGC DAO for funds once those funds accumulate, and I can find out from my team how much it would cost, and or if anyone has connections to developers that are willing to do it for a completely discounted rate because all the coding is done, and we can go that way of launching as well, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things that we sort of mentioned, and I touched briefly on, and can go a little bit more in depth here, but what about looking for ecosystem grants themselves? Like Polygon, I have a lot of connections there to get Polygon grants and go through that process, or, Moonbeam, applying for Moonbeam grants. I'm sure, Moonbeam devs would love to see Zen taking up less space on chain, but there's also different aspects that different chains for different grants. Avalanche has grants. Polygon, BSC has grants as well. But going that route to, getting it done so it's not, obviously being part of the community and going to the community for the DAO piece of that to fund that is always an amazing thing. But also, if there's money out there to be had, that is a grant side, no expectation, just providing to the ecosystem, going after that. And Hexy has her hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to know what kind of expenses is there to launch on another chain if it's audited and it's just copy paste code on a new chain, and to pay, well, the other chains are pretty cheap to launch contracts. What other expenses there? I'm not familiar with launching the same code on different EVMs. So maybe share that. What kind of expenses?
I haven't price shopped it yet with my dev team, but I believe the main cost would be as far as just the website interface to integrate to being able to switch to different EVMs and then making it compatible with that EVM, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes sense. I see other projects doing it, and
I don't think it would be crazy as far as cost. I think it would be pretty affordable. It's just it's just on the pecking order. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess the biggest suggestion I would have is figuring out, one, to get that priced out, but two, one of the things that you could do from that is you could do an interface that looks at the economic value, because that's sort of what you started with TG and TG Zen, was that comparison of Zen to TG economic value being traded. You could do something along the same lines to where economic value is pegged against ETH Zen, for instance. And so that would then get you a correlated burn worth of TG Zen on ETH. That makes sense.
Yeah, that does.
So the token stays on ETH, but people can burn their other chain Zen for that economic value to cross and put more powerhouse into ETH TG.
Yeah. So the only one thing that I would bring up is we'd probably have to do a certain amount of time, because the ratio, when we lock it in the code, I don't believe we can change it. So within, let's say, a 12-hour period, if those prices fluctuate, the ratio can't fluctuate that we set from the price when we launch, if that makes sense. So we can't let that last, let's say, months, because if those prices change, the ratio won't change with those prices, if that on the code, which maybe isn't a bad thing. It's just it could just be a gameplay opportunity, honestly. I just kind of want to bring that up.
Yeah, no, so I know you did it's easier to do a fixed ratio, but you cannot. I've also seen done, price fluctuation pieces done too. So that the comparison value is pulling data as an oracle from another chain. So that is something that's available to do. So if TG Zen goes up in value pegged against ETH Zen, or it goes down, that data can, that's almost, it's cross-chain data, very easy to do.
Yeah, I'd have to kind of look into that, but I agree that would be honestly really, really cool, that we're saying it out loud, that if people could burn all their chains and it funnel into one chain, so they'd be helping out the Zen on each chain, but then bringing up a value of one token on one chain, that's a great idea.
And that's sort of, for the way I perceive it, that's sort of the way Jack is looking at having X1 be. If Zen from all ecosystems will be funneled like a waterfall funneling into one river, X1, obviously, if you have 12 rivers, those rivers are all going to be coming at different speeds and strength and power and flow. And so looking at that comparison ratio as well. So since you started on ETH, that would be your peg, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and that's like that's a great idea on its own. Maybe that's a route we want to go with this, instead of just launching on all the other chains, and instead of making like a TG Pulse chain or TG Zen Pulse chain, TG Zen AVEX. Maybe we want to do it that way, to where we funnel it all into one token, instead of there being
a token on each chain.
A token on each chain, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that maybe you don't need like any kind of oracle, because of course the prices fluctuate, but the ratios pretty much stay the same when you look at, Matic Zen to ETH Zen. It's kind of steady, right?
I think the biggest piece on that the change on that is a different GUI amount, So if it's higher on ETH or lower on, Polygon, there'll be that price fluctuation. So you could always look at like pegging it. This is where you can get really complicated to it. When you're just going off of a price, it's a static thing. You're just comparing what is the current price of one ETH Zen and one Matic Zen. What's that ratio? And then that burn at any other point. I think where you were sort of looking at it, Hexy, is adding in like gas, in creation of rather. And so then that might, if that's fluctuating, then that brings in a whole nother ratio piece to it.
Well, just like when you meant Zen, you try and catch the GUI, right? So, so even the GUI is kind of a steady ratio between the chains, and I'm not talking about price, right? It's
yep.
The ratio of ETH to Matic, or ETH Zen to Matic Zen. I don't know. It's pretty steady, and so I don't know if you need to. I think the ratio would work just without setting in prices,
Yeah. I guess if you're looking at it, how much Zen is made in one day on ETH at this GUI in ratio to how much Zen is made in one day in ratio to Matic GUI. So I guess then they're either where the the economic piece would be on that would be minting or burning your Zen on a different chain when GUI is at a different price, and then people would be really paying attention to that then there as well.
So one idea was like, okay, right now one Zen is one TG Zen. You could make 50 Matic Zen to one TG Zen, just depending on the ratio of Zen to Zen on each chain. That's what I'm looking at.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, no, there's a couple different ways to look at that, and that brings some cool economic theory into it of power, I guess you could say, economic power at that time. And the difference being, I think I like your idea better than mine, Hexy, because you're looking at GUI rather than price, because we've seen major price differences. Because just because someone, a return value is a certain amount doesn't mean there's the liquidity to actually get that out that way. So I think your idea gives more to the power of Zen, rather than the price, because like we've seen many times, it's something might be priced at something, but doesn't mean anyone's going to buy it at that price, and doesn't mean there's the liquidity to sell at that price as well.
All right, and you can look at Jack's model. Just for his verbal model, how he's doing the distribution of XN. Other chains are going to get a certain percentage, but it's in relation to the value or the cost to mint each one. But
Yep.
but it's not Yeah, I think I know what you know what I mean. I hope.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. Yeah.
And I think that model with any project might work better than trying to launch the same code on all these chains. I kind of like this. Maybe I'll try and stress that more with the new projects to funnel all the Zen into one particular chain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then that way it might bring, it will bring, a token down to one spot. So it's easier for people to track. And then at the same time, what that allows for is, concentration as well. So people are able to, remember where everything is at. I don't know. Good ideas. I see Tree City West has joined us as well. Shout out to Tree. Shout out to everyone else that has joined us in Twitter. Xenon that's joined us as well as on YouTube and Twitch. If anyone else wants to come up, ask Hayden any questions, talk anything else about Zen, please come on up. Put in those requests. I am being me, and I'm inviting everyone because one of the great things about Zen is that it sort of puts a spot for everyone to have a voice, no matter what chain you're on or focused on. So please, if you have the time, would love for you to come up, ask any questions to Hayden about TG Zen, about the ideas behind it.
Interesting to me.
That might be really good for that. So we'll give that a second. Tree, I would love for you to come up if you have the time. And then, yeah, Hexy, what else is on your mind? Or Hayden?
Yeah, I honestly, the idea you guys were just talking about doesn't seem crazy difficult to do, especially if we just come up with a peg that's pretty much like Hexy said, like technically right now 50 MZen is worth 1 Zen. If we create that peg and then cross that value over to another chain, that doesn't seem too difficult. I would have to see if I could even do that with TG Zen because of it already being in code and me not being able to adjust it. So I don't know how I could integrate that, but it might be a great opportunity for a new project to come out and capitalize on that. Or again, the whole DAO that I will be airdropping to everyone to use, we could submit that proposal and probably make up a contract like that pretty quick. And that would be like the first community project, I think, kind of built, which would be kind of cool too.
I might be wrong, but I think that's what Xenify is working to do, where you, an aggregator of all the different Zens, so that can be burned into. They're looking at the economic value, $30 of this to $30 of that, all burning into one token. XFN, I think is what it is, and then there's the XCVN. There's so many initials and tickers coming up to remember.
Yeah, maybe. I listened in on one of their spaces for a few minutes. I haven't wrapped my head around the whole project yet.
No. And then I guess one of the questions is, how do you feel about, if you're added into the Zen garbage dump?
I have not looked exactly at like everything they're doing. I don't know if it benefits TG Zen to be in there or if it doesn't, but it's all decentralized blockchain, so anyone could do anything they want,
Yeah. No, they totally.
I hope their project helps the ecosystem just like everyone else that's coming out soon. You know, I mean, I feel like if we all look at each other like we all are working in the same direction, and that's to bring mass adoption to Zen, the more the better.
Yeah.
And there's going to be so many different gameplays. There's so many different ideas, and maybe the first idea, DB Zen, was the best idea, and it's going to be the biggest burner forever. Or maybe there's going to be a new idea that comes out that takes them out like a storm. We really don't know, but honestly, if that does to happen, I don't even think Razavan would be upset, because that would make the price of Zen increase, which would make the price of DXN increase, and it goes back to just everyone winning. You know what I mean? And that's because everything's tied to Zen. And everything that everyone's building right now is so tied together that if one wins, they all win. And that's like super cool. You know what I mean? If X1 wins, all these Zen projects win. Like it's awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then just so everyone knows, this is a quick side piece. It is Jack's birthday today. For those that don't know that. So yeah. But one of the things that I do want to go on to for a little bit is for those that don't know that are joining in on that it is, you know, we talk about Zen all the time. So for those that don't know what Zen is a decentralized protocol. You know, you can start there where it's sort of built on the ideas of first principles, permissionless, decentralized, transparent, immutable, and self-custodial. No pre-mint, no team allocation, and no admin keys. What this means is that you don't need anyone's permission to participate. The cost is literally gas. So when you don't need anyone's, the only thing that gives you sort of different levels of access is getting into the protocol when gas meets your wants and needs. And so that is part of that permissionless piece that anyone can participate. The biggest thing that Zen has pushed is that it is a proof of participation protocol. So it's not a one click and done type of participation. You know, it sort of promotes delayed gratification, where if you wait to mint and put in that longer piece of claim period to work, then you have a better reward out of that. So and it's not a ratio based reward. So 1 day doesn't equal 10 days of work, you know, divided by 10. One day will get you less overall than if you put it 10 days per day as well. And so you'll see there is a, you know, originally it was called minting and claiming. But the way it's set up is you claim how many days you want to work for or wait for. And then on that day, you go and you claim, AKA mint those tokens into existence. So when there's the decentralized part of it, anyone can participate. Transparent is the code and everything that Jack and Sun Tzu has sort of put out there and team has put out there, you know, really listens to the community at times, and builds at other times, which is my favorite way of doing things. You know, immutable, the contract has been revoked, meaning it was put out there, no one can change it. With self-custody, it's yours. You're putting into it. You're not having anyone else holding it onto it. There are a ton of exchanges that have this token for sale as well. MEXC being one of the biggest ones, Gate.io, KuCoin, Huobi, all the major exchanges also have Zen on market. They got Zen the same way as any other Zen friend Xenian got Zen. They either bought it on open market or they minted it as well. And so when there's no pre-mint, that means that all tokens in existence came about from the same way. Someone putting in for a certain amount of days of wait and then paying that gas fee to mint those tokens into existence. So there was no team allocation. So it comes to economic power. So someone who puts in for 1 day versus someone who puts in for 100 days, that's where whoever wants to wait the longest gets the best reward. There was an early adopter amplifier, and so that was a small percentage that I think started at 9% and worked its way down based off of every 5,000 or 50,000 mints, I think it was. And then there's no admin keys, meaning the token cannot be changed. It's sort of like I don't want to say Rube Goldberg machine, but a perpetual motion machine. So now it's out there. Anyone can do whatever they want with it. One of the biggest things that they put into it was a burn function that gives you a burn receipt of burning Zen. And anyone is welcome into the Zen ecosystem, the Zen community that wants to participate, that wants to build on top of it. The one thing that Jack has made, he's made all the code open source, is that using the burn function within the contract is the only way to be a true burn and give you that burn receipt. So when we say mint free Zen, there's no cost other than gas. And so that is basically validators that are processing your transactions. They're the ones that are receiving fees. So those that support the network and build the network with that proof of stake side of things, those are the ones that are benefiting in any way, shape, or form from that economic transfer of energy. And so the main place to start is Zen_crypto on Twitter. Faircrypto.org is the main overhead site. FAIRCRYPTO.org is the website. But Zen.network, XEN.NETWORK, is the main minting site where you can do what's called a vanilla mint, meaning you have one wallet working at a time. So, at first people had, they opened up a whole bunch of different wallets, transferred gas fees to each wallet, and then minted from there. There is staking as well. Then what came along was both coin tools and then shortly after Zen NFTs. Zen NFTs allows you to have a liquid position. So you have an NFT that's doing that work or waiting for you at different VMUs. VMU is virtual minting unit, meaning instead of having one wallet, you could have up to 50 or 250, depending on the chain, wallets minting for you within one NFT. But now you have a liquid position. So of that future work. So then you could either trade that, sell that, or send it to a different wallet, and you don't have to worry about compromised wallets or keeping track of all the wallets. Coin tools was a really big feature that came out pretty quickly publicly to where they were using wallet abstract control. So one wallet controlling many wallets. And so people were minting with one wallet to control many wallets as well, doing what we call the vanilla mint. There's been a lot of talk on the Zen NFT by doing that, also getting you X1 allocation, because there's different levels of Zen NFTs from Apex, limited, or collector and limited. That the top two have you burning certain amounts of Zen to put in a little bit more economic power. Like, that's how much faith I have in the system. I want to burn some Zen. And Zen is a hyperinflationary token for 8 years. We're almost 1 year in. And we've seen the amount of work that is producing Zen reduce this possible total supply of Zen. And what that is doing is based off of the amplification model built into the white paper. So if there's anyone that wants to learn how to burn Zen or create mint Zen, happy to do that. Starting at zen.network, there's 12 chains or 13 chains technically you can do it from. 2 of those chains might not matter to you if you're just coming into the ecosystem, X1 and X1 Fastnet, because you might not have participated. You might not have those. Those are just test networks. But if you're on Moonbeam, if you're on FTM, Phantom, Polygon, Avalanche, BSC, you know, or even Pulse Chain, those are ways that you can burn into Zen, you know, by burning gas, paying just gas fees to participate and start earning Zen. So one of the things I always love to do, if there has not been someone yet who has not, if any Zen friend, Zenian, that has not yet minted on Moonbeam, I want to get you into Moonbeam. And in all transparency on my side, I'm really big in the Polkadot ecosystem. I'm part of the team of the largest DEX on Moonbeam, Stella Swap. And so I like to see Moonbeam being a heavy advocate. I'm a heavy advocate for it. So I like seeing it being used because it is an EVM stepping point into the rest of the entire Polkadot ecosystem. What that does is that puts the entire Polkadot ecosystem's eyes on Zen, and it allows people, one of the biggest things that Zen has done is it's taken people off being, I guess, a chain maxi to being chain agnostic. And so seeing a lot of different ways to get into different, learning a bunch of different things about different chains and how those chains work. One of the things that's really cool is by holding the gas token of any of those other layer 1, 2s, it automatically puts you into that ecosystem and economy, allowing you to participate in anything that's going in on that chain. Even governance voting. So I know one of the things we've talked about a lot today is the possible future TG Zen DAO forming on Pulse Chain. But if you hold Glimmer, you can vote in the ecosystem of how Moonbeam advances, and you can have a voice in that as well. So a lot of cool stuff going on there. Really pushing forward. So if anyone wants to mint on Moonbeam that hasn't yet done that, please come up. I will send you the little bit of Glimmer needed to do so. And let's freaking go. This is what I'm about here. So having fun, showing you with the numbers that I see, talking about things, and you know, just making sure that this is something that anyone has. And so when we talk about fair access, you know, fair launch, in my eyes, it's only as fair as those that know about it. And so the more people that we can let know about it, then it gives them the choice to participate or not. And so one of the big things I ask is that if you haven't done it already, or if you already did it once, please go like, retweet, quote retweet, and ask people to come join this space. We're going to be going for a little bit longer to give that floor, but yeah, Hexy, TG, any or anyone else that wants to come up on stage, any thoughts or anything you guys want to add? Or I just made everyone go to crickets. I love it when I make everyone go to crickets. I see some hearts, so I know I'm not rugged. Hexy, any? Oh, Hexy, I think might have got rugged. TG, anything on you that you want to add to that?
Yeah, not that much. I love the speech. I think that's the main thing is just, I noticed that at the beginning we were getting a lot of people in the Zen I felt like onboarding them through spaces like this, and random people would hop in, and then like they'd like hop up and be like, yeah, what is Zen? And then we'd be like, okay, you know, it's free. You got some gas. And then I even had some people like in his space, like sending this guy gas for free on obviously a cheaper chain just to do like a basic vanilla mint for the onboarding process, because it's like a, you know, like a spider web effect. Like you get one person, he gets two people, that person gets two people, and it's such a low barrier to entry that as we keep doing that and slowly showing people that this is a fair distribution and that this ecosystem, these founders, all these projects, including myself, DBZen, Phoenix, and like 10 more coming out in the next few months, like it's really a killer place to be. And on top of that, you can technically get it just for gas and time. So, yeah. You know, I think definitely we've hit a little bit of a point where we've reached out to almost everyone we know easily accessible. And we're like at that point right now. And I can kind of tell that because when I see Gwei to, let's say, like, go to 12 or 13, where back in the day, whenever it got to those levels, I'd see like the people continuing to mint, like they're waiting for that time to come up, and then they start minting again and minting again and minting in. Well, I'll see times where it hits that and there's no one minting, which is kind of a plus because that means the hyperinflation that everyone's worried about is like not even a problem, because we have all these projects coming out and currently out that are burning Zen and not too many people minting Zen, even though it's free. And that tells me that we just need to kind of work on onboarding new people into this awesome project.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. It's sort of interesting to see, you know, there's a lot of different cool projects that are posting out different ways to participate in the Zen ecosystem through burning, and we have a bunch coming up as well. And so, yeah, you know, Zen Turbo is pretty good on showing what it looks like. And then there is a whole bunch of other projects. I'm gonna actually, I think I saw a really good sheet the other day of the Zen ecosystem, of what's building out. I'm gonna try to find it real quick and put that out there so people can sort of see what that looks like. What's sort of been on your radar as well lately of other things that are building?
Honestly, I haven't gone too deep into anyone else's projects as far as like going into their white paper, just because I've been focusing on TG Zen. But yeah, I listened to a Zenify space for like 15 minutes. I was driving and saw it was playing, and I was like, oh, I'll listen to this while I drive. And their project seems pretty cool. I haven't like gone deep down that rabbit hole, but it seems like it's coming out with the instant utility, and that's always a plus. From that being said, obviously DBZen's awesome. I actually think it might be a better opportunity to buy right now than burn right now. As far as just accumulating, if you plan on staking, you could just buy and stake it and get some passive ETH. That's one thing I debated for a while with including into TG Zen, there being a burn fee, kind of like DBZen has, and that burn fee being distributed to all stakers or something like that. I ended up not doing it just because of the fact that I felt like that was their jam and it had its place with them, and I didn't want to just pretty much take that idea. But I honestly love the idea, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
And I also have debated doing something with similar to that, but instead of it only going to stakers, it also like half going to an LP pool, to where as people burn, there's a constant LP being added, because obviously having liquidity on a fair launched crypto that gets distributed to everyone by just burning Zen instead of purchasing is really, really crucial. And I know that's a hard stepping stone for all projects that rely on just burning Zen to accumulate, because it ends up in the community hands to provide that liquidity themselves instead of it being just accumulated via purchasing the token on Uniswap, if that makes sense.
Yeah. A question I have for you, and I did this in my math, and maybe I did part of my math wrong, but the person who burns into TG Zen, and so there's two parts. There's they get, so 1-to-1 for Zen. I'm just going to talk like everyone did Zen for a second. And if they burn like the first person, let's say they burn 10,000 Zen. So they would get 10,000 TG Zen. The second thing you have is you have a reflection of an additional copy of 10,000 Zen, put TG Zen out there that is spread out proportionately to how much someone has, right?
Correct.
And so did that first person that burned get that 100% allocation?
Correct.
Okay, so basically the person that puts in first almost. Okay, so even if they're a new burner, they still get a reflection of that copy, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, that was something I was wondering about.
Yeah, the guy that actually was the first burner, I think his name was like Poseidon or something, hopped into our Telegram chat just to kind of rub it in. Like, oh, I got the first spot. I was like, oh, that's, you probably made some pretty good reflections then. And he was, you know what I mean? He was pretty stoked on them.
Yeah. No, and so okay, that was one thing that I wanted to know, because I not just seeing what that looked like. Some projects, obviously don't have that, so it is based on what they put into it afterwards.
Yeah.
So. For those that are wondering what the Zen ecosystem looks like, I've just posted up top a really good breakdown of what the current ecosystem looks like. That is getting expanded upon. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 projects building within the Zen ecosystem. And those are both from other token pieces, 2 different tools, and different chain pieces as well. Out of all the tools, what have you sort of seen? And Tree City, I would love for you to come up because you look at all of the different tools and you've done reviews on them. So I would love it if you could come up to have your perspective as well. And shout out to everyone that's joined us as well within Twitter, YouTube, Xenon, and Twitch. See you there. So shout out to you. But TG, I guess that question's for you for now.
Oh, sorry, I missed it. One of the guys I work with was chatting to me for a second. What was the question?
Out of all of the different tools that have built out into the Zen ecosystem, what have you used? What do you like?
I've burned for TG Zen, I've burned for DB Zen and bought DB Zen, and I've burned for Phoenix.
Okay.
And Zen FTs.
All right. So
almost, and I guess I burned for Doge Zen too. So I think every single one I've participated a little bit.
What about Exelon?
I did not. No. You
didn't want to burn your precious DB Zen?
No, I didn't. It didn't really make sense to me, to be honest. So no, I didn't.
Okay. All right. What are your thoughts then on the DB Zen NFT that's coming up?
I don't know if I'm going to participate in it. I get that it has the same model as kind of DBZen where to interact with it, you have to pay this fee, and that fee gives you or gets distributed to everyone as passive rewards and stuff like that. I just don't know if it's going to be worth that fee, if that makes sense. Obviously, DBZen was worth that fee like 10 times over. So that's the one thing that kind of makes me bullish on it. But then I also wish, because I know he's such a smart guy, that instead of taking fees, we came up with a way to give utility and like a passive reward or some other benefit that wasn't just a fee on top, but was like a queuing of value off of like a service offered of some sort, like how Uniswap makes money. Like they're offering a service by letting people add LP, and then on every trade that happens, there's a fee taken where Uniswap makes money, and then also the people providing the LP make money. So that's kind of my opinion on it. I think he could develop something like that, like not easily, but his team seems very large, and I think if we went in that direction, it would bring even more value to DBZen. But obviously what he's created is awesome and works. He burns so much Zen, it's insane. So I don't like to say any. Obviously, I don't want to like micromanage what he's doing, because obviously he knows what he's doing very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I like the term micromanage for the simple fact is that, you know, these people have made these protocols without my input. And it's brought value to anyone that, you know, has put in for the longer term mints. And so we've seen that value created where you could get more. The Zen you mint into existence is worth more than the cost of gas fees. So we've seen economic value created that way. We've seen that transfer into other projects as well. So one of the things I'm afraid of is that, and especially when asked my opinion, is that anything I might say might mess the whole thing up.
My bad. Say that again. I was reading an email.
I'm
trying to multitask to the best of my ability.
Understandable. And I know you're coming to us while at a work day, so I appreciate that. And, you know, you've taken, 2 hours with us almost. So, no, allowing the builders to build has created, and just doing their thing has created value. Now, if you take outside opinion into that creation, are you afraid that there might be the next result might have influence that might not have normally been there, that might mess it up?
I think the outside influence is from you. There's so much of it, and all of it isn't consistent at all. One guy says this, one guy says this, one guy says this. So once you start really taking that in, you're never going to make everyone happy. So I think it's good to listen, but at the end of the day, Razvan needs to make his own idea, because he is an expert at gameplay, and I believe that his ideas are probably better than the majority of Zen holders. Obviously, there's probably some really smart Zen holders out there that can come up with this crazy-ass game theory that's awesome and just can't build it. And he needs to keep his ears open for that person to come about and then, take that and run with it. But a lot of it out there is just noise.
I agree with you on that. In two aspects. One, keeping your ears open might bring a perspective that you never heard of. Like when, Hexy, I was sort of focused on the economic value transference going to one chain. Hexy had a really good idea of looking at the Gwei factor, and that way you don't have to worry about the price oracle piece of it, because the price oracle, like I was looking at someone, I was looking at a mint that was happening on Moonbeam. Someone has a certain amount of Zen that puts it in 6 figures, but there's not the liquidity for that. So, but because it's priced so awkwardly, it looks like they have a very large sum, but they could never sell that. And so Hexy brought up, well, let's look at the chain power rather than the dollar value. And so that brings a really good idea piece to it, and you were like, oh, that's actually, didn't think of that. That's sort of good, bringing it all into one. So there is that value that's created on listening to others. But like you said, there is that noise a lot of the time.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of that noise is usually whoever's saying it is coming up with the idea that significantly benefits them, and that's who they're worried about. So when I hear a lot of people making suggestions of certain things to do or what they want to see out of Jack, I can blatantly see that where their funds have been allocated, and that's why they are pushing certain narratives, and where their funds aren't allocated, or you know what I'm saying. So yeah. Most of the suggestions are to benefit the person making the suggestion also.
Yeah, I see that a lot as well. For those that are joining us, quick side note, for those that are joining us either on the Jumbotron watching video, or those in any YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Xenon, one of the things you've seen me going through is minting into creation tokens on X1 Fastnet. And now I'm going to be creating a new NFT, Zen NFT on Moonbeam, so you can sort of see what that looks like, as well as what that cost looks like as well. So you can see what that ratio piece does. So, but going back to like the noise side of things, what's some of the craziest noise you've heard, Hayden?
Gosh. In my opinion, I believe there is a little slip up on saying that burning DXN would get XN allocation. I think that was at a time where it wasn't thought through properly, and it was just a little suggestion, and it was quickly revoked. But a lot of people made financial decision off of that, and they keep trying to push that narrative. In my own opinion, that narrative never made sense, and it just is completely unfair to any other project building on top of burning Zen. Like, if that stayed put, I probably would have never even released TG Zen, because who would ever burn for another project if you could get an XN allocation to burn for DBZen, and then burn your DBZen, and then also get another XN allocation, and then probably receive something else as well. So the fact that narrative keeps getting pushed and people are upset about it, I get why they're upset about it, but for people to completely ignore the fact that never made sense is just them watching out for their own bags and not the growth of the whole entire ecosystem. Because I think a lot of projects like me, and I would say Joe probably was pretty upset about that too when he first heard that. Like, wow, like that's not fair for every project burning on or building on the ecosystem, and that really entices people to not even build their projects. And that's the most important thing for the continued deflationary mechanism of Zen, is for projects to keep building. And yeah.
No, that we saw that, we saw like the idea behind that, because I know, I think it was one of those things to where it was a slip, and it was a first idea piece put out, and it got quickly shut down once that sort of like the idea of other people building it on top of that, and what that might look like, and so I agree with you. What it comes down to is how much time and sweat, you put into figuring out an economic model that would be as fair as possible to everyone, knowing that how big your community is of TG versus how many people you think would be burning for TG Zen, where Jack is having to look at, you know, an entire ecosystem as well, you know.
Yeah. Hey, I guess I kind of have a question for you. I want to know your thoughts on VMPX.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me changing the subject a little bit.
Not at all. I think so. This is my understanding. So, are you asking for BRC20 VMPX or eVMPX?
Let's say eVMPX.
Okay. So eVMPX, and well, welcome up to the stage, Caden, as well. They put in a request, so we'll get to you in just a second, Caden. But so two things with it. I think it was done fair. I think it was done minted right. I sort of like the idea of it as being a transportation hub across two different ecosystems. And the reason why we see a lot of different bridges, so everyone will have a choice of bridge to get from one system to another system. You know, you can do it as easily as, let's say you have a MEXC account. You can transfer any token, almost any token into MEXC, and you can sell it for something and then trade it to something else and then move that off of the exchange and back into a decentralized wallet. Where I think that this sort of does, you know, what bridges have a really big vector of is different liquidity pools of different tokens. So they become a really big vector of attack. One of the biggest issues we see, one of the biggest, I would say, hacks that we've seen with bridges is overmints, meaning a broadcast was done on one side with a command line that makes an output larger than the input, you know, like cold fusion, I guess you could say. And so we've seen that happen to where some of the easiest hacks that have been done on bridges with that is you put in an input without putting an output address. So it looks like you're putting into a bridge, let's say $1. And you do that twice. So it looks like you have two transactions. Well, then someone puts in an output transaction broadcast that is from the same address, almost like a refund for more than what they put in. And we've seen that repeated. That has been a broadcast issue just because of the way bridges function. That's been a hard piece. But what I think here is this eVPMX becomes a very controlled supply line. So you know how many trucks are in the supply line. You know exactly where they're at all times. And so it's really easy to convey supplies or economic power from one location to another because you know there's no minting and burning per se. And so what it does is it opens up different ways to do things. And this is just a start. What else it will be used for, or that model will be used for. This is one of the things about doing things in a different way first, is it might seem very simple and very bland, but then it puts up a very, it creates new ideas in people, you know, so it might change something in a completely different ecosystem that has nothing to do with Zen. But because that idea sparked an idea in someone else, I think is where the beauty of it is. So I'm for it. I participated in the mint, I participated in buying, and I participated in providing liquidity. So, yeah. What are your thoughts on that? Hayden, did I lose you? I guess Hayden got a call real quick. I do want to invite everyone is invited up on stage. Did send out a couple of invites. Love to see you guys up, see your thoughts more on this. But one of the things we're doing for those that are joining us on video, across YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Xenon, and in Twitter, we are showing what minting a Zen NFT looks like at max VMUs and max term days. And so on Moonbeam, so we can sort of show you what that looks like, what that economic cost is. Like I said, I'm willing to, if you have not yet minted on Moonbeam or you're new to Zen and you want to learn more about it, please come up on stage. Would love to help you do that. So as we can see, as I'm minting a max VMU, it's costing 39 cents worth of Glimmer, and that is all gas that is going into that. So nothing is going to buying token or anything like that. It is a little different than doing wallets because I am creating an NFT for that position representing 55 wallets per se. So yeah. TG, are you back? Hayden? Oh man. We might have lost Hayden. I see Crypto Bro also joined us. Love to have you up. 6. Always love hearing what your thoughts are and what you're building out. And anyone else that's joining us today that doesn't know about Zen, or needing a recap of anything, as we've been talking with Hayden from TG Zen, adding into the Zen ecosystem, please join us. We wanted to do this after having a really good week in review yesterday with Simple and Clout and Buddy-san. So there's a lot of stuff being built out within the Zen ecosystem. And so being able to deep dive where they sort of go over everything, we're a little bit able to just sort of target on one thing and slowly expand from there. So yeah. And if not, we show you how quickly that you're able to mint a Zen NFT, and what that looks like economic wise. So GM Crypto Bro, how are you doing, man?
Yo, what's up, Taco? Feeling good, man. How you living?
Oh man, it is a day. It's Monday.
It is Monday. Yeah, I'm currently how do you say, I'm putting my personal brain through the ringer right now, and I've been spending the last 4 hours researching natural language processing and the AI talk that Jack is starting to pitch our way. And I see that we're getting another gym. We're getting ahead of the curve. This shit's going to be so powerful, man. And I don't think people get it yet. But yeah, this whole morning I've just been stuck on ChatGPT. I feel so late.
So one of the cool things that just recently released as well within ChatGPT is they've had the iPhone app version. Now they've released the Android version as well. So for those that,
what's really crazy, what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to get to the base of where we are today. And so far, what I've learned that's blown my freaking mind is how fast, or the comparison of training a human versus training these things we call them ChatGPT, but that's just the branding, that's just the brand.
Yes.
But the actual thing is called natural language processing. And what's crazy about that is it takes only 1.5 years to train a natural language processor as if it was a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
So you basically hyper speed, or you like speed up your life in a sense. It's fucking insane when you really think about it, because it's like, damn, now we can get these personal assistants that think like 25-year-olds. But like the thing about it that's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs is they're all monetized. And what Jack Levin is introducing is a decentralized version that now in my head, I'm like, oh damn, they're gonna connect this shit to X1 chain, and then X1 chain is gonna have a tokenized chat bot that will be able to be anyone's personal decentralized assistant. Because like right now you can go and do like ChatGPT, but you're giving away your data to that program. And the same with like Google, the same with like Twitter. But like that is going to be pretty mind blowing if they can pull this shit off. Now that I've put all the pieces together in my last 4 hours of understanding, and what a better ecosystem than the Zen world, right? Where like the way that I'm learning is they're using variables as tokens.
Yeah.
So what that means is essentially we could potentially have like a portal maybe where we burn Zen to make something even smarter, like make the decentralized ChatGPT even smarter, which is blowing my mind right now. I just like, you said my name, like, what's up, crypto bro? And then this is like the first thing I'm thinking of, like, yo, I gotta share this shit with everybody.
Hell yeah. No. There's a lot of cool stuff going on in AI. I'm part of a project called Koi, that is like almost it's a simplified node running. So you download the package to run a node, which then allows you to run tasks. There's a few simple tasks in there as they're working on decentralizing that. But one of the pieces there is that any project can have it run tasks for them, and so because they have people that are running these nodes in the background, there's simple tasks of just image searching to pull together, or command line pieces that doesn't do any interference on behalf of the person running the node, but it's collecting that data and distributing compute power. And so I'm seeing a lot of cool stuff in AI. We're seeing a lot of stuff done in diffuser and stable diffusion. We're creating live video. One of the cool things I was reading last night, well, I'll say last night, but really it was around like 3 o'clock this morning, was it's called Drift. Have you been reading about Drift in responses?
No, I haven't gotten that yet. I've just been working on researching kind of just the fundamentals and the principles of how we got to today's commercial ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And kind of like, just that evolution. I've been booting up today. I'm like, I got to know this, because I think the reason why Jack Levin is talking about it and being so aggressive about this idea, just like how he was with Bitcoin, is because it's a moon race. Like, and I'm pretty sure that drifted concept, like they're helping provide more tools so we can get to the moon.
Well, okay. So what drift is actually drift is the term used for responses that are off of right. And so there was a research that was done around simple math equations that ChatGPT specifically was the model that they used so that they could get a stable variable. And then the answers that they received over time to the same question. And two parts of that drift that they've seen in responses is that answers are more short or they're wrong. So like one of the questions that used to ask was, is this number a prime? And I think, at the time, it would actually show its work and say, yes, it is, or no, it isn't. And it was right around like 98% of the time or something like that. Because it does, AI does hallucinate and create its own answers if it doesn't have a direct line of thinking. So it creates an answer. I'll talk about that in a second. But now it's saying that the same questions are coming up right only like 35% of the time. And it's not showing its work. which is really crazy. Yeah. So it's like, just give it, like you said, I would say it's gone from, you know, a reverse academic approach of showing your work to that teenager of not showing their work and just like standing by something. And like, you know, you used to get longer responses, and now you're getting like a teenager's response, like, yep, nope, don't know.
Yeah, this is like where I'm at with it. Now that I've learned all this, I'm like having fun with ChatGPT, but I'm like, I don't really want to train this thing to like be the homie, because it's gonna be it's gonna be like your low-key nemesis because it's monetizing you so hard. Yeah. So I can't wait for all of these decentralized models. But the thing that specifically is drawing me to this whole AI world is the tokenization of variables, and how like the like, I guess you can say, like, I'm reading about the relation between it and your brain, and relating the node effect of what ChatGPT has to offer to the neurons in your brain, and how fast your brain can retain information or even pull memories to me speaking. And like, to me, it's just so mind-blowing to think that, like, for instance, what I did to make it simplified for myself, and like something that maybe I could see others doing, right, bringing it to that mass adoption feeling, was redoing my resume. Because like, I've done it enough, right? But then throwing it in ChatGPT and like using it to just reshift things I've thought of to make it even better just blew my mind, because I'm like, yo, you can definitely use this to speed up time and to speed up what do you call it, efficiency. Yeah. Like if you don't feel efficient, now you have this assistant that can make your efficiency 10 times better than it was yesterday. So now you can focus on like, what's the next piece of innovation I want to do. And like we're going to literally have these things in our pocket. And this is where it goes back to Zen, like, and it's like, yo, what if he's getting ready to tokenize something where you burn Zen to get access to like the most decentralized version of it? Because that's the next thing I see people trying to do, is come out with their own that you subscribe to or you inscribe to, and then like, you know, you're like, okay, cool, I'm going to put a bunch of data into this thing and we're going to ride the bull, right? But yeah, it's so fascinating. Makes me wonder like what else things, like when they install all of the Zen data, I wonder if the Zen chatbot will make the best dApp for Zen to burn Zen. That shit would be crazy too.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's one of those things where let's, there are other bots out there that, you know, have been, I guess the term jailbroken. So ChatGPT 4, and then the public version ChatGPT 3.5 were given access to data, and that data was shut off at certain points, you know. So it's not always up to date, you know, with the, you know, most recent information on things. So we've seen one of those things where people have jailbroken them, but then kept feeding new data into it. There's someone was talking about it last night, Singularity Net, and what Dr. Ben Goritz has been doing. Singularity Net is just one of the many different on-chain projects in AI. Dr. Ben, he's got like 8 different AI projects going on within Singularity Net. And one of them, he has like 10 different AI models that were like, you know, different. They were given access to data at different times so that they wouldn't all learn the same, I guess, or in the same journey. But then given the power to communicate between them, to where it was then, you know, they're just creating their own forms of language to talk between all of them, all, you know, themselves, which is really crazy. And that all that communication is done on chain. Prediction model pieces we've seen as well, or even trading bots, creating trading programs that, you know, are used to either we only see a lot of the victories, but yeah, I do know of a couple people that they're like, yeah, I just got straight wrecked on it.
So
yeah, you can't trust it all the way.
yeah. And as
Still
much
need
as
the human for fact checking.
yes, or the funny story of I'm gonna, for those that are in New York, I'm gonna post this in the chat, and this is gonna be a quick ask again that anyone that is joining us via Twitter, YouTube, Twitch is to like, comment, share this space. But one of the things that events I'm gonna post, that if you're in New York, there is actually an AI and blockchain panel tonight. That if you would love to come, I would love to see you there. And yeah.
Okay, that's only a 4-hour drive. I'll make it there in 3.
Heck yeah. And you'll be there in the little orange bug. Bro, are you free tonight?
Maybe. It doesn't have AC. I might take my dad's Infinity. What time?
It starts at 6.
At 6. What time is it now? It's what?
1:49.
3. So shit. How long does it go for?
You'll be there at 5. If you leave now, you will be here by 6. I think it goes until 8 or 9.
What are they talking about though? Are they just exploring things, or are there people like a panel?
There is there's
data or something.
There's a full panel piece. What is FinGPT? Open source LLM designed specifically for the financial industry, with the potential to democratize the financial data, leading to a surge in fintech startups. Potential applications of FinGPT: robo-advising, personal financial advice, enhanced algorithmic trading systems for accuracy, and integrating low-code development platforms offering advanced features and capabilities. So yeah. For me,
sounds exquisite.
For me, this is one of those things like, I'm like, yes, more information. So I'm putting this in the comments below. So if you want information on it, it is in the comments below. And this is where I'm going to be tonight. Addison, I think you should drive 3 hours.
Sorry, I can't. My grandfather's girlfriend just passed, so I gotta be with my grandfather. Otherwise, I would.
Heart goes out to your grandfather.
Thank you.
Heart goes out to your family and you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Hey, have you heard about ETHscriptions?
Yeah. Yes, that is the tying of basically coloring tokens within ETH and tying them to ordinals in a different way, but also just a new way of using IPFS as an inscription on ETH.
Well, it's not using IPFS. It's using inscriptions. It's inscribing the data directly onto an ETH block.
Oh, well,
yeah,
so that
I picked up your. I'll send it to you. I picked up Player One Taco description for you, and I also picked up Taco Cat if you want it.
Totally. Thank you.
So, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, you know what?
You might want to go to ethscriber.xyz if you want to pick up player1taco.eth, and I heard the alpha is to pick up the .e as well. I know some people have been picking up the .x's. People have been minting a lot of coordinates because people are going to have a metaverse. Like, if someone's having a metaverse where it indexes like all of the coordinates, so like a number comma another number. So I've been doing those. I just minted Kekpunk, and I don't know, it's been fun. A little birth of fresh air into NFTs, and I like the on-chain stuff. So
yeah,
the individual words you can use as if you go to ethscriber.com/, well, if you go, for me, it's like I have a bunch of different words, but since I have your word, player one taco, it'll go to my wallet. But once I send it to your wallet, it'll go to your wallet. So,
woohoo!
Yeah.
So, and with all of, I try to get my name everywhere, just for the simple fact that, to own that piece.
Yeah, so I picked it up for you.
Thank you.
I secured it.
Someone picked up before me player1taco.sats.
Oh shit.
I'm sad about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a Pepe on like ordinals.
Yeah.
Or something like that. But yeah, the alpha is pick up the word all lowercase, because that's what takes precedent in the URL.
Yep.
And then to pick up, if you want to really corner your online name, is to pick up the .eth as well, all lowercase, and as well as the .e.
Okay.
And I've been seeing some people do the .x, which might be for the whole Elon X thing, but I don't know too much about that. I haven't heard too much about that. I've just been seeing people mint that stuff. And then, yeah, the coordinates, there's some CACpunks right now is being minted out. Yeah, those are still minting. And then there's the WGW, like interactive cats that are minting right now.
All right. I know
cool
you're into a lot of everything Pepe. Maybe Crypto Bro can talk on this a little bit more than me. But there is now a Zen Pepe or Pepe Zen. Bro, do you know what it is?
I don't know. I'm into like Pepe coin and like the original Pepe stuff. Like I'm not digging into too much more. Like I'm not gonna shitcoin too much moving forward. I'm looking for value. I think Pepe is gonna have some value. It has the potential of being the #1 meme coin in the world. And now I'm onto like these ETH descriptions. I've been minting a bunch of words. I have a bunch of funny words that, I mean, this is a recorded space, so I probably shouldn't say all the words, but if you go to like ethscriptions.com/DMT, you'll find my wallet, or Player One Taco, or GMI, RGB.
All right.
Boob, poop.
Yeah, all the fun ones. Bro.
Yeah, I got a couple fun ones in there. You'll have a little laugh going through that if you guys want.
Crypto Bro, I see that hand.
Yeah, I just rose my hand real quick, so I have to step down. But I see, I think his name's Origin. He hit me in the comments, and he was asking basically, do I see the blockchain acting as nodes in an AI brain for like decentralization? And I hear what you're saying there. Like, do I see like X1 chain being an AI? But realistically, what I'm getting at is hash power. So once you go deep enough into the ChatGPT world, you realize they still have like a ceiling, which is GPU power. So now, like, everyone's trying to map together their computers so they can make one big super brain to be able to access information faster than the next person. And that's where I'm like pretty bullish on this idea, where I'm like, damn, they could really build that in the blockchain, and it'd be the easiest way to get a bunch of GPU power to like start mining curries or world curries, because that's how I'm picturing it. I'm picturing everyone in the world having an assistant in their pocket that's not Siri. So that's kind of why I just want to get that out, because I'm about to leave. But yeah, like if you go really deep into the AI world, you'll see that it still has a backbone like crypto, where the questions need to be mined by GPUs, and that shit is mind blowing.
Yeah. I see that question too, and you covered that explicitly. People, like, we saw different chains trying to be used for decentralized GPU power, to where people have actually had to like make their own chains. Like we saw that with Pat, decentralized compute power, and Engine as well, Render, and we've seen that with Koi, distributed compute power. There's a handful of others. We saw with Singularity Net that for that communication on chain, for it to be fast enough and to support that communication, like Dr. Ben went to Cardano, so, and brought that and put those bots. So like one of the AI projects that he's had, and I've actually got to meet Sophia the robot. Sophia even has citizenship in Dubai, in the UAE. So that I think that's more of just a publicity stunt, but at the same time, has full citizenship. So like, you know, Sophia is an interesting AI to talk to. I think what Dr. Ben did with Grace, which is a medical aid, you know, companion, to me is a lot cooler, especially in both the looking at for dementia patients and the IDD world, able to be very communicate at a standard monotonish way that makes for a safe environment for you know, and it's supposed to be a companion to health aides to give almost health aides a break a little bit, you know, but also to give a standard companion as well, I think has been really cool. But you were on point with validation nodes, sort of as a brain.
Part about it, man. Once everybody starts to really figure out how to web it all together, or like the power source for the ultimate AI. I mean, it's like Bitcoin. It's going to come down to the argument of, well, what's hashing the creation of said idea, which is in this case going to be a variable of an answer, like a tokenized answer. And I'm like, damn, the world is moving fast as hell. Like, I didn't expect it to be this deep, but now I see the excitement behind AI and why a lot of people are trying to build for it. Especially, I got to check out the Singularity Net. That's what I'm about to do. I got to continue my research, guys. So I'm going back into the hyperbolic chamber, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. But shout out to Taco for hosting this this little space so we can get a little nutty with some new ideas.
Heck yeah. Before you deep back dive into the matrix, bro, we're gonna wrap this space up, and I want to thank everyone for joining us. Shout out to Hexy Cajun coming up earlier, to Hayden from TG Zen. I see Meta Rides there, 6, Tree City, Crypto Little, and everyone else that has joined in. You know, as we wrap this up, we're gonna just go to the classic end of TacoBytes, your daily bite of Degen. Episode 340. Man, I've been doing this for a while. But one of the things I do with everyone on stage is closing thoughts and words of wisdom. Crypto Bro.
Closing thoughts. Go dive into some new information that you didn't know about yesterday. The world is constantly spinning, and you are in control of how fast it spins for yourself. Don't let anybody spin your world quick. You got this. And that's what I'm learning from today's deep dive, is that even though silicon can hold memories, it's not the soul that pushes the data. So continue to prosper however you feel. The matrix, we will rule it one day. I mean, look at today. Today's X day.
It is.
For Zen, let's get it.
It is. It's X day for Zen. Did you? So I submitted like 3 different submissions for that. Did you submit any X designs for that by chance?
I didn't think it was real, dude. I'm still like in shock that this is today. I don't even know what to say. Like, are we saying Twitter? Are we saying Zitter? Are we saying X? I'm gonna X you. You know, I don't even know what the terms are yet.
Well, you know, yeah. I don't know if the terms change, you know, but you know, a long time ago he made it so that, you know, X would be the focus of everything. So I think that there might still tweets, still reposts, tweet, like, comment, share this room, show some Zen love, show some X Day love. You know, the space is recorded so other people can learn from the 3 hours we've been here. Hopefully someone learned something, and or saw something on how easy it is to do something. So one of the things that I really wanted to add to that is, like you said, expand the mind, get out of the echo chamber. You know, I have huge friends over at Meta Rides. If you're looking into metaverse stuff and you like cars, check them out. But what they're doing, one of the things, the number one thing I really like what they're doing is they're doing artist showcases within the radio of your car. And I think that that's a really cool thing. Reminds me of GTA when you got to choose through the radio station for horrible music. Now you can find current artists that have stuff as NFTs. And I think that the creator content ecosystem is really cool. But it looks like he has a .x car now. Now we just need to all when Zen car to meta rides, you know, get on and some function to burn Zen for your meta ride on Polygon. But Addison, final thoughts and words of wisdom.
Yeah, some final thoughts. If you missed .com, being early on .com names and .eth names, Ethscription names might be a potential value play. At least go mint your digital identities on ethscriber.xyz. All you have to do is pay gas. You maybe mint some other words, other brands. A lot of them have been picked through, but there's still a lot of good words. It's still very early. And all the Ethscriptions right now are under 1 million, so that could have some historical value as well down the road. Yeah, definitely open your mind. Stay open-minded to new opportunities that come in your way. If you're staying closed-minded, you'll be closed to new opportunities and what the universe is trying to show you and provide you. So always stay open-minded. Don't let anyone influence your energy, your vibration. It's your life. Live it the way that you want to. Yeah, and just be a lifelong learner. Continue to learn, looking at new things, like Crypto Bro said. And yeah, just have fun. It's all about the experience, and enjoy your life. Make your life the best life that you could possibly make it, because I mean, as far as we know, we only got one life, so make it the best that it can be.
All right. Yeah, no, I like that. So yeah, with that, we're gonna our final thought.